Alright, welcome to another Alliance War video. We have 4 Loki versus DSVG. These guys got second overall last season. They banned Ghost, Spidey99, and Future Ant-Man, Nimrod, and iDoom were banned. I have a couple friends over DSVG. Shout out to John and Smith. So it's always good to go against some buddies. And we got a big war today, 9 fights. And no Professor X. I got Shuri, Hulk, and Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is here for a synergy, and I'll be using the other 2 for attack. But it is the Hulk show, make no mistake about that. He is on path 4 in section 1, and there's this Hercules here. And basically the node, when you get a debuff, the closer you are to the defender, you get a fatigue debuff, which makes you crit less. And he gets a massive fury, and you don't basically want to get caught. I have an indestructible boost running here, and I'm not running recoil. There is a heal block debuff already, and you see how he has that fury. So the plan basically is just to hit him, bait SB1s or SB2s, either is fine, and just build up to an SB3 to where I can get him real low and do some damage. And try to stay away to get those fatigues off if possible. I'm not too worried about it because Hulk does something very specific. You know, the big yellow numbers everybody loves, but as the fight goes on and he gets more furies, he hits dramatically harder. So you'll see this in the next fight specifically. So if I get some fatigues and don't crit, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm ultimately going to still hit plenty hard with the white numbers. And here I haven't used Hulk in war at all, and I've done some testing a few seasons ago in the Gauntlet versus a Sassy, trying to see if he can take him down in 5 minutes, which will come into play later with the Sasquatch boss. So I was very kind of hesitant on what he can do and how much damage output he can put out. So I wanted to make sure that Hercules was around 10% or less before I threw that SB3 to cancel out his immortality. And now we have this ManThing. And I was talking about how Hulk basically hits harder, and we're all used to big yellow numbers. And what ManThing does is that you can't crit any higher than your regular damage would be. So you'll still get a yellow number, but it's only going to be as high as the white number would be. And going into this fight, the only thing I told myself is make sure to know that your parry may fail, because that's insult to injury, and not to hit into his unstoppable. And the first thing I do, parry fails, and I hit into his unstoppable. But I have an indestructible boost running, and I'm just building up my furies to go into gamma mode. And you see here, I am backing away, obviously, because I don't want to get those weaknesses on me. But the Silver Surfer synergy is coming in a clutch right here because I am buff immune with it. So he cannot place any of his postural buffs on me. I'm poison immune. I can't get armor broken. So he's basically a potato. I go into gamma after I bait this SB2, and I'm going to do some massive damage. I am science boosted because, again, I was kind of testing out what the damage would be like and what I would get back. So that fight was pretty straightforward. Next we have this Wong on 23. This is the Power Focus 2, Bubble Shield, and Root. And for this fight, my basic plan was to push him red if I had to, and not get rooted. So just be aware of that. I don't have to worry about any buffs, and just if I can throw my SB3 while I'm in gamma, then I'll get a massive physical vulnerability and do some big damage. So here you see he goes to an SB2 real quick, but he doesn't gain much power after that. And I'm really threw on the indestructible boost because if he heavies, then he power gains. And here he roots me, so I'm just waiting for him to come at me so I can parry him. And I parry him again, and I throw my SB2 here as I go into gamma, and boom, it doesn't kill. He dashes at me, and I dash back to throw my SB2 to intercept, but he dashes back right away. And here I'm rooted, so I got to dex this. And I get the clean dex, and at this point, you know, it's over. It's basically over. So pretty straightforward. I was a little worried about that fight just because the root and bubble shield, you know, things can go wrong. This fight is an example of when I don't get my furies up real quick. Hulk gets his furies based off of how much missing health he has, and it's RNG based. So there's a percentage chance. And with Silk, I'm obviously buff immune, so I don't have to worry about the node, but I do not want to push her to an SB2. I can fully evade both, but the the SB2 on the block, it may hurt. I'll take chit damage, and I have to use Hulk for a few more fights. And you see here, I only have 2 Fury, so I'm not hitting very hard. But the plan basically is to bait SB1s and then just you know, get into Gamma and throw the SB2 if I'm there, or the SB3, either or, it doesn't matter. But you see there now with 4 Furies, that was an AK medium, right? Another AK right there. That 2-hit combo did 14k damage. So I'm like, okay, you know, the more I build those Furies up, the harder he's gonna hit. So I bait that SB1, and I'm like, okay, get things going. And this is just feeling really slow compared to the first 3 fights. But ultimately, I'm trying to be real safe, and that's what's important here. So I back off, and I'm like, all right, I'm at 10 now, so I can literally throw the SB3 or go into Gamma, or, you know, one or the other. And I decided to throw the SB3 to do a big chunk of damage, and then come out, and I'll be in the Gamma mode. So at this point, she throws his SB1. I can stun lock her now, but it's not going to be needed because the basics do the job. And the next fight, I have a Mojo on path 2. This is where if you knock him down, you get a Fury buff, and obviously you don't want buffs expiring versus Mojo. But since I have the synergy, I am buff immune. So this fight, basically, I went into it on my 255,000 health. Is R5 Munash's Mojo right here, and I have an indestructible boost. And Hulk also has degen resistance. He gets higher degen resistance with more health. So he throws that SB1 quick, and I'm like, all right, perfect. You know, I'm building Furies rather fast. And here I'm debating whether to bait this. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna bait it. I'm just gonna push him red. And I do a short combo because I want to get a full combo, more hits basically, and go with my SB3 because I'm hitting really hard right here. And I threw it not knowing if it would kill, but I also wanted to see what the degen damage would be after. And he gets to 5%, and he throws his. I have an indestructible boost, and I'm still running. It's the theme of this war, indestructible boost. Because obviously, if you guys have been watching my videos, I've had a rough. So getting a 9-5 war was kind of like a champ I'm not too familiar with. Wasn't ideal, but at the same time, it's motivating. It's like, okay, I can do these, just look it through, duel, practice, and you know, look over my notes. But that Mojo went down smooth as well. After those fights, I really felt a lot more comfortable with Hulk for the last 2 Hulk fights that I have with him. But next up is Shuri, and this is the EMP mod node. And White Magneto is global, so I want to make sure that I have a armor up. So I want to keep knocking him down. So I'm going to start with a parry heavy, just to get that armor. So that way, if I do give him a prowess, then I can remove it. And she's not going to take any damage from shock because she's shock immune. And shout out to Lags, because I would have just pushed him to an SP2, but I saw his war video, and he was just, you know, taking White Magneto's SB1 on the block and doing just fine with Absman. So I decided to do the same, basically stay away, just wait till he does it, and just block it. And he's melting. He's literally melting. This is just a nothing fight. So good little warm-up fight, because I do have an Atuma on 48. Enzo's taking that domino. It's not me. And this Atuma, at this point, you know, I was like, well, what do I want to do? I want to keep shocks on him to remove his hydration, but he's going to have a lot of power and be throwing a lot of specials, so it may be hard to control. But I have a White Magneto pre-fight, so I use a Power Start 1, and I'm not sure I would do that again. But I want to start with a parry heavy to get the prowess. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this node. Since I'm power burning him and hitting him, he's getting the vigilance buff, and you have to watch when it expires. You have to heavy him. He gets faltered. I want to keep my armor up, but ultimately Shuri is a tank, and she's gonna, you know, be taking this stuff, you know, rather well, and she has a lot of protection with her armors and her miss mechanics. So you see there that at the beginning, I'm like, all right, he throws this, he gets his hydration, he gets 6 right there, and I want to, I had the falter on there, so I had to wait. I throw this special to knock him down and get the armor. And at this point, I'm like, okay, he was faltered, so I used that to hit him, and I'm just using my basics to crit against him while I have my armor up, and I want to make sure that I knock him down right here with the special, because I noticed that his prowess was obviously up. And here he throws a special one. He was real friendly, but he's at 9-8 stacks. I'm removing them, but he keeps throwing these specials. It's gonna go up, and he throws this. He gets up to 10 hydration, and I'm like, oh man, I get faltered. I catch it right away, thank God. And now we're back and we're cooking. So I'm untouchable at this point, so he can't hit me. But I parry him, and I throw the special one, and that's basically it. So Shuri is really good for a Tuma. Karate Mike took a boss this war with her, and it went really, really well. I think this fight is just a whole lot going on to really kind of maximize her with a regular rotation. But we were waiting on this Mangog and the boss, and it was a real close war. And at this point, I'm moving, and we are tied, losing on time. And I don't want to look at the score because I just want to get my fights done, and I have the last boss to take in our alliance. So we thought that they may die to a photon boss in BG1, so I really need to solo to keep the score tied at least to win the war. And the plan here basically is to do a 4-hit combo. I have max petrify on, so when he's stunned, I'm not giving him too much power. And I do a 4-hit combo so I don't feed his rage stacks. And then I want to push him red and tank an SB3. And ideally I can be at my SB2 when that happens. So I'm just doing a 4-hit block, 4-hit and then hold block to beta heavy and just take the chip damage. And at this point he's going red, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a 5-hit combo and just, I'm just trying to get more furies up. And he's not throwing his SP3, so I'm like, now I go gamma, and I tried throwing mine because if I would have thrown mine, then I don't feed him any power, and I can just tank his. But he throws his, so I have to throw mine, so he'll have power after my SP3. But ultimately, it does not matter. Hulk does not care. You'll see he's at 47%. I'm gonna throw my special 3. And I am running recoil on at this point for more damage. Obviously, Mangog is beefy right here, and his power gain is scary. So I would have thrown an SP1 there, and he would have been stun locked and dead anyways. So that was easy peasy. Now I wait for a Wags to be placed on the Sasquatch boss. This boss has 1,000,000 health. I have taken the Sasquatch boss with Professor X, and it's obviously an SP3 spam, and it's about 2 minutes long. PWF did a Sasquatch boss last war, and it went really well for him, and Andrew was bugging me to beat the time, which was about 1.5 minutes, I think. So I watched this video quite a few times at a bunch of duels, and I set max coagulate, ran full recoil, and removed points off of stupefy, and I went in. And the plan basically here is to beat Sassy down, really. But you do want to you do want to get some luck on your side. You want to push him to SB2 ideally, because he throws that rather quickly, and then keep hitting him. Bait heavies for openings. Hulk is really tanky, so he can take that on the block, and get to my gamma as I have an SB3. So here he throws this red. I do short combo, and he throws that special, which is perfect. I'm in gamma. I land the SB3 to get those big physical vulnerabilities on him with the SB3, and now he's at 75% basically, and the fight is on. Here he has not entered Wrath. What I ideally want to happen is him enter Wrath while I'm still in gamma at an SB2. He goes into Wrath. I do a short combo because I don't want him throwing an SB1. He gets into my block, gets me more power, and then I counter safely after the unstoppable, launch the SB2, and he's dead. And he's at 48% right here. You can see 1,000,000 health Sasquatch. Half of it is still up. And after my, this is right before I throw my SB2. That's 245k red damage, 305k crit, and he's dead. I actually didn't even know if he was dead when it happened. I was so amped up, obviously close war, I needed to solo, that I thought the game froze, and I was like, oh, the fight's over. I took the screenshot for Andrew so he could see that I beat the time, because he was bugging me about it. And this ultimately sealed the war. So it was cool to see the guys were all watching. We ended up getting the solo. We needed this win as an alliance. Even the wars that we've done better, we've lost, and so this would have been real heartbreaking for us. But you see that, you know, we're up. Actually, they died twice. At that point, I was surprised. I was like, oh, they must have died twice to that photon boss. My battle group got a donut, so shout out to BG3. But of course, Andrew wasn't happy. He wanted a sub-minute kill, right? And the guys over here, you know, just, oh, I gotta do better. Apparently, no. They're just busting my balls. But it was a fun war. Now let's take a look at the final stats. So shout out to Karate Mike, Trevor, who actually used Professor X this war, and I may or may not have pushed him to take a Korg boss with him, and he absolutely smashed that boss, fought it perfectly, and I got one as well. Feels good to get a win. Hopefully we start some sort of streak, and we will see you guys in the next one.